I wanted to show you this video. So this is highlighting a wet market. So this is the type of place where the coronavirus ends up starting. It will show fish head, it will show pig snout, all these different features of animals. And then it will show a video that was put together by Vox. So I spliced a few videos for this. But the one by Vox, it highlights how there are animals, the full video highlights how there are animals that are basically having excrement on them from other animals as these cages are stacked up. And so we have to question if we should punish China for these wet markets, if the United Nations, if other countries need to team up on them. Because in all reality, their actions are leading to the suffering, deaths, and also great economic loss of countries all over the world. People in Italy that are suffering and that are dying, they've been negatively impacted by China's negligence. Let's go ahead and watch this video.
Quail eggs to turkey eggs to chicken eggs. Yes. This is an area that it's just a little bit, well, you'll have to see it. It's not like your local butcher shop. Again, I'm going to turn the camera around and you can watch. This is the way that they sell like pig innards and pig. Anybody for jujiao or pig feet? Num num. Yes. All different types of pig fat. We wouldn't want this guy chomping down on. Hello. Ni hao. And then you get stuff like fried fish, already prepared foods, but it's not like the prepared foods that you would think about in the Western world. Like there's lung, tongue, two tongue. Great. Oh, here's one. Pig nose. Like I'm sure that. Great. So I'm sure that all of the people. Oh, tu adore. Adore. So yes, it's. Oh, goat feet. Yang jiao. Great. Oh, yes, very good. 谢谢。Ingo. 对。再见。All of the neat stuff that they've got. Here we got the notorious chicken feet. Qi jiao. Num num. Isn't that gotta be good, eh? 这是什么？猪皮？
看得见吗？看见吗？
看见了。Oh, see, now I'm getting a following here. Hey, the girls that work here. Yes, it's all of the stuff, you know. Ribs to well, a lot of pigs' noses. Everybody likes barbecued pig's noses. Let's go over and see if we can find some live oh, one of my favorite. Saoya. Barbecued duck. Here's one here. Barbecued duck. It's so good. And the chickens, when they've got lots of eggs in them, that just means that they're healthy. And this is how they sell the chickens. There's a silken chicken, that's for soup. And there's half a duck, and oh yes, and there's the notorious chicken head. You can find heads everywhere. Num num. And they got fish heads. There's another head. Look at that guy here. Oh, and he's still alive-ish. You see him? He can breathe. And this is one of the reasons where they call them a wet market. Oh, pigeons. Pigeons are good. Little kids. Oh, big fluffy rabbits. Oh yeah, that looks like a good stew meat. And more pigeons. And here's some turtles. You know, that's a big turtle. You can see he's sticking his head out. And this is on the other one. I'm not sure if this is a turtle. They've got a weird looking head on them. I don't think it's a turtle, but they sell them as turtles here. And then little turtles. And there's a big one with a weird head on it, eh? Oh, and look at these guys. Those look like they could be num num num, eh? Look what I found. Yeah. Hello. How are you? How are you? Well, how to see? How to see? 再见. And then more ducks. And you think these guys know that they're going to be eaten? Well, what's that? Take a picture of this guy here. Wow. Look what that is. Oh, dang. Look at sort of a big bird, eh? Yeah, like that. And more pigeons. You see that they're really into their pigeons and stuff here. Everybody eats pigeon. This guy looks like he met an untimely death, and all that's left is his nose. They haven't cleaned the hair off him yet. They clean that off with a blowtorch. Yang to. This is goat head for sale. If anybody wants to buy a goat head, you give me a call and I'll hook you.
These animals are from all over the world, and each one has the potential to carry its own viruses to the market. The reason all these animals are in the same market is because of a decision China's government made decades ago. Back in the 1970s, China was falling apart. Famine had killed more than 36 million people, and the communist regime, which controlled all food production, was failing to feed its more than 900 million people. In 1978, on the verge of collapse, the regime gave up this control and allowed private farming. While large companies increasingly dominated the production of popular foods like pork and poultry, some smaller farmers turned to catching and raising wild animals as a way to sustain themselves.
At the very beginning, it was mostly peasant household backyard operation of turtles, for example. That's how wildlife farming started to get off the ground.
And since it started to feed and sustain people, the Chinese government backed it.
So it was imperative for the government to encourage people to make a living through whatever productive activities they can find themselves in. So you can lift yourself out of poverty. No matter what you are doing, that's okay.
But then in 1988, the government made a decision that changed the shape of wildlife trade in China. They enacted the Wildlife Protection Law, which designated the animals as resources owned by the state and protected people engaged in the utilization of wildlife resources.
That's one of the most devastating problems of the law, because if you designate the wildlife as a natural resource, that means it is something you can use for human benefits.
The law also encouraged the domestication and breeding of wildlife. And with that, an industry was born. Small local farms turned into industrial-sized operations. For example, this bear farm started with just 3 and eventually grew to more than 1,000 bears. Bigger populations meant greater chances that a sick animal could spread disease. Farmers were also raising a wide variety of animals, which meant more viruses on the farms. Nonetheless, these animals were funneled into the wet markets for profit. While this legal wildlife farming industry started booming, it simultaneously provided cover for an illegal wildlife industry. Endangered animals like tigers, rhinoceroses, and pangolins were trafficked into China. By the early 2000s, these markets were teeming with wild animals when the inevitable happened.
The latest on the deadly SARS virus, the worldwide death toll up again today.
China has reported more than 1,400 cases of infection nationwide.
It is what health officials have feared all along.
In 2003, the SARS outbreak was traced to a wet market here in southern China. Scientists found traces of the virus in farmed civet cats. Chinese officials quickly shut down the markets and banned wildlife farming. But just a few months after the outbreak, the Chinese government declared 54 species of wildlife animals, including civet cats, legal to farm again. By 2004, the wildlife farming industry was worth an estimated 100 billion yuan, and it exerted significant influence over the Chinese government.
Wildlife farming industry was tiny in China's gigantic GDP, but the industry has enormous lobbying capability.
It's because of this influence that the Chinese government has allowed these markets to grow over the years. In 2016, for example, the government sanctioned the farming of some endangered species like tigers and pangolins. By 2018, the wildlife industry had grown to 148 billion yuan and had developed clever marketing tactics to keep the markets around.
The industry has been promoting these wildlife animals as tonic products, as bodybuilding, as sex enhancing, and of course as disease fighting. None of the claims can hold water.
Yet these products became popular with an influential portion of China's population.
The majority of the people in China do not eat wildlife animals. Those people who consume these wildlife animals are the rich and the powerful, a small minority.
It's this minority that the Chinese government chose to favor over the safety of the rest of its population.
So the question at this point is, what should happen on a global scale? Should China be punished? We should make sure that this never happens again. Now, of course, China will push back from that, but at the same time, we should also look at Trump's actions. He called the virus a hoax, literally February 28th, and he didn't push to get testing equipment and to get ventilators when he should have been. Thanks for watching.